Everything is on the line. The 1 seed on the line for the Chicago Bears as they take on the San Francisco 49ers. This is Nate and Paul from the NFC North Guys. Paul, diehard, lifelong Chicago Bears fan. I cover the 49ers and have been for a couple years now. So I've got this team figured out, I think. So, Paul, I'm here to answer all of your burning questions. Quick shout out to hit that subscribe button for all of you NFC North fans, but most specifically, the Chicago Bears fans out there. Big game. Everything's on the line. Go ahead, Paul. What are your burning questions right now as the Chicago Bears prepare to take on the San Francisco 49ers under the lights, Sunday Night Football? The game and the stage could not get bigger.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. I'm super excited for the game. Haven't been big-time games for the Bears like this in quite a while, so I'm hyped for it. First question, I think a lot of Bears fans are wondering right now, is George Kittle going to play Sunday? And if he can't, what does that do to the 49ers?
Okay, so firstly, no one's going to know the answer to that question today. We probably won't know. Now, there's a chance that most likely he'll be listed as questionable. I'm guessing he'll be a limited participant at practice today as we're recording this right now. They have not practiced yet. But that being said, let's answer the more important question, because folks watching this might already know whether or not George Kittle's playing. So let's talk about the reality of what he brings to this team. Without George Kittle, the run game is different. It is just not as effective. And I think that's why the Niners got off to such a slow start in the run game this season. Now, I say that knowing full well that Christian McCaffrey is a stone's throw away from having a second 1,000 season. And only two other players have had 1,000 season, and he'll be the only one if he does it twice, the only one in NFL history to do it twice. So it's not been abysmal, but it has not been great. And what's been lacking for the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey is explosives. They have run the ball okay, but they don't have big breakout runs. There's a lot of theories about why that is, but I think the number one factor is George Kittle. George Kittle in the run game, in helping open up some holes for Christian McCaffrey, is unbelievable. The things they can do with Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle out there at the same time in those personnel packages is pretty incredible, very creative, and it's innovating every year. So if George Kittle can't play, the run game is definitely going to suffer. In addition to that, George Kittle and Brock Purdy have this connection that very, very few quarterbacks and receivers have in the NFL right now. When they're together, they produce yards like it's nothing. So if George Kittle doesn't play, I'm going to tell you right now, even if he plays a little banged up and is limited in the game, that is going to have a large effect on passes over the middle. That's going to have a large effect on, his catching window is huge. He's a big body, and he moves like a wide receiver despite being the size of a tight end. So I think that it's gonna have big impacts on the pass game and the run game.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to watch the rest of the week. George Kittle's availability. I know Bears fans are hoping he doesn't play, but we'll see what happens. Injuries, I feel like, have been a huge part of the 49ers season.
For sure.
What are they like? Because they lost Nick Bosa for the year and Fred Warner for the year. How are they managing on defense without those guys? Like, what can Bears fans expect to see from the Niners defense?
Yeah, everyone uses the bend don't break phrase. I think the Niners' best case scenario is bend don't break, meaning on their worst games, they give up yards, they give up touchdowns. It doesn't look great. On their best games, which they have had quite a few decent games without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, it is just bend don't break. They don't really have, even best case scenario, they don't have a complete shutdown offense. For example, when they beat the Rams, the 49ers offense was unbelievable to open the game. And that was with backup Mac Jones, by the way. And they managed to gain a lot of yards, but they could not keep the Rams offense at bay up until two critical moments, which for the 49ers this season have happened not often enough. Far too not often. I don't know what the phrase is there, but basically,
I think we get what you're trying to say.
They had a punch out on the goal line against Kyron Williams by a rookie, Alfred Collins, who's shaping up nicely, but he's a rookie and he's just not there yet.
Mhm.
And then they had a goal line or a 4th and 1 stop that kind of ended the game. That was just a dumb play by Sean McVay, just flat out. Like they were running a rub route against us, and we could not stop it. And they decided to run the ball on 4th and 1, and they lost the game that way. But that being said, I think what you can expect is a team that will swarm the ball hard, meaning the second that DeAndre Swift or whoever, gets the ball, the second the ball leaves the hands of the quarterback, whether it's a handoff or a pass, you're going to see every single red and gold player out there swarming the ball. So that's what to expect. It is kind of a defense by committee because it has to be. There is no singular player on this defense right now that individually really scares you. Now, they will prefer to stay away from Diamador Lenore, their lockdown corner. He's not a lockdown corner. He is a very, very good corner, though. I think he's very underpaid considering the league average. So I think he's a great value for the 49ers. And he's a very, very good corner. I don't think he's a lockdown corner per se, but he's very good. I think that the Bears will probably stay away from him, as most teams have. And so he won't be a big factor in the game because they have Renardo Green, who's a sophomore, still very much young and learning. And if Renardo Green can't go because he's banged up, that's a whole nother story. But he's got a neck injury. If he can't go, then Darrell Luter Jr. is the backup, and he's a backup. I mean, he's a special teamer. He's a backup. So, frankly, that's where the ball is going to go through the air, I think, the most. And you also have, without Fred Warner, you have a gaping hole in the middle. Tatum Bethune has been decent as a middle linebacker, but you're looking at Tatum Bethune, Curtis Robinson. Neither of these guys had ever started an NFL game as a linebacker because Fred Warner had been so healthy for so long. So I think you're looking at a lot of very young and a lot of very inexperienced players on that defense across the board. You look at the secondary, you got Jair Brown, who's got a couple years experience, but he's been very up and down. And then you have Malik Mustafa, who was a rookie last year, who can definitely be one of those safeties who's a thumper, but can over pursue and miss tackles. So I truly I think the situation in terms of the defense is exactly what you'd expect it to look like without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. They can't rush the passer they're one of the worst in the NFL for rushing the passer. They troubled to sack Phillip Rivers. Not exactly the hallmark of a mobile quarterback. So when you're thinking about Caleb Williams back there and his ability to already evade pressure against really good defenses, I don't expect the Niners to have a single sack. Best case scenario for the 49ers is about 15 pressures and maybe like a hurry or two. That's probably what's going to happen. Now, if sacks start happening and you're a Bears fan, you're getting worried because that's pretty much this defense has had to survive without sacks this whole season. So if Caleb Williams does take a couple sacks, I'd be worried if I were a Bears fan.
Yeah, hopefully that's not the case. He's been good at avoiding sacks. Let's talk about the other side of the ball. So defensively, the Bears kind of are similar in that bend but don't break. They give up a lot of yards. Opposing offenses have moved it on them. But then the one thing the Bears do super well is they force turnovers. They lead the league in that. They lead the league by a mile in turnover differential. How does the 49ers offense do in terms of protecting the ball? Do you think that could be a big key to the game on Sunday?
This one's more of a roller coaster answer, unfortunately. I wish from a 49ers fan perspective, I wish I could give you a much harder answer here. But unfortunately, they've been really good of late protecting the ball. I think most importantly, the Browns defense, that's a great defense. They protected the ball well against the Browns. They protected the ball well against the Colts, -1 partially high thrown ball that gets deflected, even though it touches two hands and goes to the Colts defense. Outside of that, they have been good lately. The problem is they definitely have the potential to be off by a millimeter. And I'm thinking George Kittle not there, for example. If they're off by just a little bit, Brock Purdy is a gamer. He may not look like it. He may not sound like it, last pick in the draft, but the way he plays the game is aggressive. And that's what Kyle Shanahan likes about him. The problem with playing aggressive is you can get yourself against a team like this. And we saw it against Jacksonville. Brock Purdy comes back from his turf toe too early, and he throws picks against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So can it happen against this Bears defense? Absolutely. That's my biggest, that and run defense would be my biggest fears for the 49ers going into this game. The Niners absolutely cannot afford, with their defense being, 28th ranked in the NFL, they cannot risk the ball. They can't do it. So they have to move the ball well. They have to do what Kyle Shanahan does well, which is scheme everybody open. And so you're never going to know exactly who the ball is going to. But in addition to that, they also have to find the way to not turn the ball over. And my biggest fear without George Kittle is Juwan Jennings is number 3, I think, in the NFL in terms of targeted players who result in interceptions. Now, you can't blame the wide receiver on all those. A lot of times it's a quarterback error. But my point being, Juwan Jennings last year was a guy that was pretty much 100%. You throw him the ball, he's going to catch it. Through contact, he's going to catch it. No separation, because he's not really a great separation receiver. He's still going to catch it. And this year, that's not been the case. We've seen drops. We've seen deflections for interceptions. We've seen one where he bobbled the ball and it got intercepted. So I think, from a Bears fan perspective, if there's no George Kittle, you've taken the surest hands in the receiving core off the field, and that will force the 49ers to throw the ball Juwan Jennings' way. And that 6 times this season has resulted in interception. And against this Bears defense, that's a big concern.
Okay, so I feel like I was going to ask you, how do you think the Bears win this game if you look ahead? I feel like you kind of answered that there with turning the ball over. What about fast forward to Monday morning? You're doing a 49ers video talking about how the 49ers came away with the big victory. What happened Sunday night that could lead this 49ers team to victory?
Yeah, we haven't talked enough about the Niners' awful rush defense, or run defense. That's going to be a huge factor in this game. So if I'm crystal ball looking ahead and the Niners found a way to win on Sunday night under the lights at Levi's Stadium against the Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson and his brilliance, I think what happened is the Niners protected the ball, and I think the Niners found a way to stop the run. We saw them do it against Indy, which was awesome, with a big caveat, obviously, but we saw them do it against Indianapolis, and that was a big, big concern of mine. So if they can stop the ball and they can manage the clock really well and maintain time of possession, which Kyle Shanahan has historically done very well, and win that battle, I think it's pretty straightforward. You win the turnover battle or you're close to it. I think they can afford to give up maybe one interception or fumble. And I'll tell you why in a second. But in addition to that, if you can turnover battle, you can get close to winning that. Time of possession battle, you can win that. And you can do something to stop this run offense that's so good for the Bears. I think the Niners come away with a win. The reason I say that is because the Niners play very, very good complementary football this year. And I don't remember the last time I've said that about the 49ers. Their special teams is number 2 ranked in the NFL. If you take week 1 out, which was a really bad week 1, and you'll remember because Jake Moody pretty much lost his job because of that. Jake Moody, kicker, goes and somehow helps the Bears win, walk off. That was crazy. But anyway, once they got rid of Jake Moody, they already got rid of their special teams coordinator last year, brought in Brent Boyer, who's done a great job getting this team together. They also went out there and during free agency, when everybody else, like the Rams picking up Devontae Adams and whoever, the 49ers signed Saron Neal, Luke Gifford, names that you might never have heard about before because they're kind of nobodies in the NFL, but they're somebodies in special teams. And the Niners went out there and they brought in a lot of special teamers, just special teams aces. Like that's just who they are. And we're okay with giving up depth positions in our defense to give these guys an opportunity on special teams and turn this around. I have never seen 49ers have never been a team known for special teams, and they really are known for special teams this season. So I think you can get away with one if you give up, if you lose the turnover battle by 1, if you're -1 on that differential, but your special teams does what they've been doing all season. That's hitting big field goals. That's also forcing turnovers and things like that. That maybe that kind of evens things out a little bit. That's where I'm at. I suppose if the Niners win, they play good complementary football. They protect the ball.
Sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, never forget Bears legend Jake Moody. That was one of I'm a Michigan fan too. He went to Michigan, so I loved that game personally. But yeah, well,
that was
I
frustrating, man. It was frustrating because it's like, dude, we have begged you to just hit easy field goals for like half a year now, and you can't do that. And then you go and hit a walk-off for the Bears? What? From the practice squad, too. Like, he was elevated the day before, right?
Yeah. And, like, that wasn't his only field goal either. He was on the money that game.
That was crazy, you know. Yeah, it's a wild thing. We've been fortunate that we picked up Eddie Pinheiro, and Eddie Pinheiro has been Eddie De Niro. Like, he's just
another
been
Bears
money.
legend.
What's that?
He's another Bears kicking legend. He had some time with the Bears.
Amazing. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's played on a few teams. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you guys heard it here first. You know, Bears have an advantage over the 49ers in the run game. They have a massive advantage over the 49ers in the turnover game. So the question for the Bears will be, can they just keep on rolling, keep on chugging against this flying hot at the moment San Francisco 49ers? Nate here, Paul here. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we're covering everything NFC North, including the Chicago Bears. I don't know how to say "da Bears" the way that you say it, so I'll leave that one to you. But I'm sure Paul will give you plenty of "da Bears" to make you feel right at home on this channel. We appreciate you guys, and we hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend.